On this from F. William Engdahl. He's a geopolitical analyst and author of Seeds of Destruction, The Hidden Agenda of GMO. What is wrong with GM food?
Well, the fundamental problem with GM food is that it's genetically and biologically unstable. There's no genetic modification known to science, and this I have from some of the top scientists in the world on this question, that's stable. It's always mutating. Number two, all the GM products that are in the human and animal food chain over the last 20 years are modified primarily to do one thing. 80% of all the GM is modified to accept chemicals, pesticides, Monsanto Roundup being the most prominent of them, which are highly, highly toxic. And they're modified to be resistant to that deadly chemical, so that it kills everything in sight except the Monsanto corn or the Monsanto soybeans, or what will you. And those chemicals are equally as dangerous to the human food chain as the GMO seeds themselves.
And clearly these are the concerns that these protesters and demonstrators have. But why are they targeting a US company in so many countries throughout the world, and why now?
Well, I think for one very simple reason, Monsanto is the company. They are the world's largest owner of seeds. They bought up all these small seed companies to control those seed varieties of wheat, of rice, of corn, and soybeans, and cotton, and so forth. Number two, Monsanto bought up a company that gives Monsanto the patent on what are called terminator seeds, which self-destruct. The seeds commit suicide after one harvest season. So farmers are unable to take part of their seeds and replant them for the next harvest season, something that never in history has been possible before this Monsanto development. But Monsanto is the metaphor for genetic manipulation of the food chain. And they are by far the largest. Of course, you have other companies like Syngenta in Switzerland. You have BASF, which is a partner of Monsanto in Germany. You have Dow and DuPont Chemicals. But Monsanto is really the giant of the four horsemen of the GMO apocalypse.
And why is the US government so keen to protect its interests?
Well, I think this is a strategic interest of the US. The agribusiness lobby, which lobbied Bush Sr. as president in 1992, Monsanto went to the White House and had a closed-door meeting with Bush and got Bush to agree to make sure there were no government tests whatsoever on the health and safety of GMO products before they were released to the commercial public. And that was called the doctrine of substantial equivalence. It's a fraudulent doctrine. If you just analyze the name, it's by no means scientifically rigorous. So there have been, up until recently, no long-term tests beyond what 90-day short-term studies Monsanto gave to the government to say, oh, everything is hunky-dory. Well, it turns out evidence has been uncovered of whistleblowers who say we were forced to alter the scientific data for Monsanto, so it showed that the results were positive. So you have the fox guarding the chicken house here with Monsanto verifying the health and safety of its own products. But it's the idea of a monopoly on seeds, a patented monopoly on seeds worldwide, that makes the whole question of Monsanto and the GMO question so extremely important in so many countries. They are trying everything to bribe and influence the European Commission in Brussels. A study came out in France at the Ken University, September of last year. It was published in a peer-reviewed, serious scientific journal of toxicology by Professor Seralini and his colleagues in France, showing that rats fed with GMO Monsanto rice, or corn rather, had huge incidence of cancer tumors compared with non-GMO rats. They had enormous organ damage and death rates 5 times that of normal rats. And the study was suppressed. Well, it was damned by the European Union's European Food Safety Administration, and it turns out most of the scientists on the panel had ties to Monsanto. So it's just a corruption that Monsanto tries to infiltrate its way. They try to block labeling in California because that would damage their whole product situation in America, where people are beginning to wake up. So yeah, I think there's a sea change going on against not only Monsanto, but biological engineering of our food chain. We don't need it.
Very, very interesting to hear thoughts on this. F. William Engdahl, geopolitical analyst. And, of course, if you want to find out more about his thoughts on this, read his book, Seeds of Destruction, The Hidden Agenda of GMO. Thank you very much for your thoughts live on RT.